collaborators to close the sustainability gap of cities. More information on all this work may be found on our website. But the reason we're here is we also work with those who are active residents of cities and who are working for a better future that way. This is where our Climate Changemakers youth leadership training comes in. Many of you know about the youth-led climate strikes happening around the world. Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg began her protests outside the Swedish parliament in 2018 when she was 15 years old. The following year, a youth-led movement named Fridays for Future had spread around the world, including a global climate strike that brought together millions of people of all ages and backgrounds to march in thousands of locations around the world. Research undertaken by UN Habitat has shown that youth and the youth-led organizations they create have the ability to affect change many times the resources invested in them. Many of these youth live in capital or secondary cities, and cities are responsible for 75% of global CO2 emissions. Although the climate strikes have been effective, there will be a point where new strategies must be undertaken, and the predominantly young women who are leading this movement will need to have their skills upgraded and new skills learned in areas such as facilitation, communication, and mobilization. This is where Climate Changemakers comes in, aiming to provide the needed skills, mentorship, and other support. Those of us who work in organizations that deal with environmental data, policy, or education have a responsibility to support and serve these youth, those who are using their energy and drive to tackle the climate crisis. It is time to invest in the climate emergency generation as equal partners. So in April of 2021, just a few short months ago, the Centre for Ecocities collaborated with an organization called Colleges and Institutes Canada to deliver a cross-Canada pilot workshop of the initial Climate Changemakers youth leadership training. This initial 3-hour workshop provided training for youth to become climate change leaders in Canada. Most participants were those involved in CICAN's Career Launcher program, a federally funded initiative that helps young emerging professionals find employment. BCIT's alumni and students were also invited to be part of the training. This initiative provided the foundation for a broader global program that the Centre for Ecocities is developing with input from staff from UN Habitat and UNEP. After the initial Canadian workshop, the Centre for Ecocities and UN Habitat ran a revised workshop for a global youth audience to mark International Youth Day on August 12, 2021. The training for each of the remote workshops comprised of 3 main modules. The first provided an overview of sustainability challenges, their science-based context, and some related frameworks. This included orientation to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and an introduction to UNEP's World Environment Situation Room, the City Prosperity Index, and the Sustainable Living Protocol developed by BCIT. The second module provided leadership training, including how to organize and coordinate climate projects in communities. The third module provided communication training, particularly in intergovernmental communications. Formal recognition of this training is available with a certificate from BCIT for all who complete the training. So the response, the trial workshops were a success. In the first Canadian workshop, there were around 20 participants from across the country, very active and engaged. Then in the global workshop, we had around 50 participants stay in real time for the full 3.5 hours, actually, which was amazing because it crossed all sorts of time zones, and you can see the countries that were included there. Some of them stayed late into the night, past midnight in their time zone, as some of you are doing right now. After these workshops, we conducted surveys of the participants as well as youth activists around the world who haven't yet taken the training. They told us that they need better information and context on sustainability and climate science, knowledge on tangible frameworks and tools, skills and knowledge in government relations and how to engage with government and affect change at that level, credential or formal recognition of their training, especially stackable courses in topics that can build upon one another. And by far the biggest response we had from the workshop participants was their relief, joy, and inspiration at having some emotional support, connective community, and networking. This was a little bit of a surprise to us. We thought they would want more hard, tangible skills and knowledge, but they really felt connected, and we're glad to know that they weren't alone. This also came through in the global survey, but lesser so in Latin America, where it seems there are already some very strong activist networks that are connected to one another. So our next steps for climate change makers are basically evolving the program based on what we've heard. So that may involve, creating more of that network that I just mentioned. And also delivery in other languages. We'll be starting with Spanish for Spain and Latin American youth, and then we'll take it from there. So stay tuned, there's lots more to come. And that's an overview. Here's my information if you would like any more information on what we do at the Center for Ecocities or Climate Change Makers Youth Leadership Training in particular. And now we'll hear from our other speakers. I don't know if Leah has joined us yet. I think we will have to wait. I don't see her here. So now we'll go to my Center for Ecocities colleague Pilar will soon share more details of the Climate Change Makers curriculum. And then after that, Miroslav Polzar will explain Digital Art for Climate initiative that uses blockchain technology to inspire climate action, give voice to creators of all ages, and create new resources in support of youth climate action. And we'll also hear from Maria Dolores Carrillo Beriel, the president of the Island Council of Lanzarote in the Spanish Canary Islands. And she'll talk about the fight by young people against the climate emergency. Oh, and I think we have Leah right now. We'll just give her a moment to connect. This is real time. This is good. Hello, Leah. You are here.
Yeah, I finally got my way here.
Excellent, excellent. I know it is very late or early in the morning for you. I just gave a very quick introduction of Climate Change Makers Youth Leadership Training. And if you are ready now, we can hear from you about your work as a youth climate activist.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Is it necessary for me to put my audio on, my video on?
No, you don't have to.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And my name is Leah. I'm a climate activist from Uganda. I'm a team leader of Fridays for Future Uganda and a founder of Birthday Trees Project. So, and my message is to the youth. We always hear the youth are the future. We hear this phrase so much that it has become overused and unfortunately lost its cult. I want to emphasize this again, that we are the future, we are the leaders of tomorrow, and we are the parents if there are coming generations. Now that the world is in a state of urgency, we have limited time to save the planet, the young people will not just sit and watch when we are going extinct. If adults are not doing enough to prepare us for what is coming, we have to prepare ourselves and to fight for what belongs to us. Our greatest asset is a large population of talented and bright young people, but there is need for us to prepare each other and remind ourselves that we can be the change we want to see. And I want us to connect from all the four angles of the world, our hopes and dreams who will see life when we connect and empower each other, right from family level to community level to state level, to know the youth, to create the identity we want to see. And also we want to be known as game changers, as solution providers, and we have to force our voices to be heard. We are not going to do this when we are doing a lot of nothing. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. However, there may be much insults that may be thrown on our journey to save us, but we will stay positive knowing that we will win. And not everyone is willing to listen or to mentor, but that will never be the reason for us to quit what we started. And youth always find a way to make things happen. With connection, we can build a strong team of great young achievers, starting with a positive mindset that you can do anything that you want. Thank you so much. That was my message to the youth.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. It's not just one message, it's a whole set of messages. Thank you very much for that. And I think you can rest assured that we have heard that now, and many more people will hear this on the recording as well later.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think you can go to sleep now.
All right.
It's so late in Uganda. Thank you very much, and good night.
Good night.
That's so nice that she stayed up so late for us. It's not so late here in Vancouver. Pilar, do you want to go ahead now and take us through some of the curriculum?
Yes, thank you, Christina. That was a very powerful and beautiful message by Leah. So hello, everyone. My name is Pilar Bonilla, and I'm the manager for the Climate Changemakers Youth Leadership Training Initiative. As Christina said, a program by the Institute of Sustainability at the British Columbia Institute of Technology in collaboration with UN-AVID. I'm pleased of being here, and I'm going to very quickly walk you through that first module of our workshop, the Sustainable Living Protocol, which is a very simple and quick basic foundation for understanding sustainability frameworks, implementation and measurement tools that enable and empower youth into creating action programs. The workshop provides an overview of sustainability challenges, and this module provides that, showing that cities face that challenge and showing what is driving them. Then we talk about sustainable development goals and a framework for action to understand how youth can position themselves as leaders to be effective for change. Finally, we talk about how youth can take those next steps to be immediately effective. To start the workshop, we ask participants to think about their purpose and vision, what they want out of the workshop, what they are hoping to do with the learning. We want to push them a little bit further and channel the passion into purpose and get that going into work. To understand the sustainability challenges that we face, we need to talk about the Anthropocene. Now, as humans, we are the greatest force shaping Earth's terrestrial systems. This big shift has happened in the last 50 years. Only 30% of the Earth is still wilderness. The majority of land is occupied and affected by humans. This new era coincides with the global urban transition. About 50% of the global population now lives in cities, and up to 70% are anticipated to be urbanized by 2050. In Canada, where we are talking from, about 80% of our population lives in cities. Although cities can be efficient places for people to live, they also concentrate demand for goods and services. Cities account only for 3% of the land use, but they are responsible for the majority of global resource consumption. Cities are great nodes to provide services, education, food, and so on, in a compact location with efficiency. But cities have not yet achieved full potential. When we think about cities, we need to think about the broader area that the cities affect. And when we think about the economy, it's really important to understand that natural capital is the only true source of resources. Ecologically productive land and water resources are natural capital. Everything that goes to manufacturing comes from nature. Economy works as having nature as main supplier. We take nature's products and transform them or convert them through manufacturing processes. Everything that we have and use is a result of those processes. Our computers, cars, food, houses. If we think about the urban impact of our lifestyles, we have to weigh what we consume and use to maintain our lifestyles against what nature can produce. That is what we call the natural biocapacity of Earth. When we take more than nature can provide, then we are out of balance. We take more than nature can regenerate now. The discrepancy between the small amount of land occupied by cities and the vast amount of land required to resource our urban lifestyle is at the heart of the sustainability challenge. Some numbers that can help to understand better. Earth's surface area is 54 billion hectares. Approximately 12 billion of those, that is only about 24%, is ecologically productive. We have now 7.9 billion people living on Earth. If we do the math, we divide the productive area by the population, we have only 1.5 global hectares. That is about 3 soccer fields in size of ecological productive land that are available for each one of us. And that is if it's distributed equally, but that is not the case. The reality is that there is a minority that is taking the majority of resources. The majority of people are not getting a fair share of the resources. Countries like Canada or Luxembourg can be really effective, helping with the reduction of their impact. The urban economy that supports our lifestyle is up to 200 times the size of the cities where we live. That is what we call our ecological footprint. It's a concept developed here in Vancouver, Canada. Urban ecosystems where we live in the way we do require water, soils, energy that is converted into agricultural products that come to the cities. All are resources that we need to support cities. It is not the cities that are the problem, but the energy and resource intensity of our urban lifestyles that require vast land areas outside the city to support it. The majority of people think about sustainability as 3 pillars: environment, society, and economy. 3 elements that need to be integrated and balanced. But in fact, the way the world works is that the environment supports society and economy. We depend on nature's service. Society evolved out of the environment. We have created the economy. We decide how to value things and use money for exchange and trade of value. But do we really include the social and ecological cost in the value that we assign? One the most effective sustainable adaptation for climate change that can be done is the adjustment of our economy to truly reflect the ecological and social cost of the impact of our activities. When we talk about resource flaws, nature is the ultimate resource. We take natural services and we turn them into natural resources. and then into our built environment, the cities where we live and build. And we produce waste. That's the ultimate needs to go back to the ecosystem. This is a circular process. A flow of resources is what drives everything. Nature produces and assimilates the waste. Climate change is simply a feedback. We really need to adapt our economy. We need to change the way we are working to really account for the cost of our impact. In this environment-society relationship, our inputs, natural resources like water, timber, food, and our outputs in terms of waste, carbon emissions, pollution in our oceans. This is how the cycle works. The shrink, share, regenerate is a framework for sustainability. We need to reduce impacts by high-consuming societies. 10% of high consumers are responsible for about 43% of total gas emissions around the world. Huge majority of global population are not meeting basic needs. So we have to increase the access for them to the resources they need to live a dignified life. Simultaneously, we need to regenerate nature, the source of nature services. We are taking more than nature can regenerate. In order for us to survive, we have to reduce our impact, help those that need to improve their life conditions, and support regeneration of nature. Shrink, share, regenerate is a clear path. A lot of people really don't understand how that works. It's not easy. We have evolved for about 200 years into a capitalism system. I'm not saying that it's bad, but we have underestimated the true ecological cost of our actions and the effect on our society. Changing to what we call one planet living is what we have to do. We have to shift to a lifestyle that stays within global ecological capacity. That is, we don't consume more than Earth is able to produce. It needs to be adopted by everyone. That 1.5 global hectares, but that is only for us. What about nature? What about population growth? We are growing at an exponential rate. We are hopeful about changes happening, but if we don't understand the science behind it, it will be really difficult to affect change. We have to put things into perspective. Here is an example for Vancouver, Canada, one of the cities regarded high in terms of sustainability. In Vancouver, we had to reduce our ecological footprint in almost 60% in order to live sustainably. In other cities, the gap can be lower or higher. In average, high-consuming cities will need a reduction between 60 to 80%. Now, how can we do this? Energy reduction for buildings, waste reduction, design for deconstruction, management of oceans, sequestering carbon emissions, improving transportation, walking, biking, using massive transit, traveling less, eliminating the food waste, which is big, unfortunately. In terms of consumable, reducing plastic use, bags, packaging of food, buying good quality that lasts, using less paper. Those are examples of how we can close the sustainability gap as individuals. If we look at what cities can do, there is a 40% of impact. What we can do as individuals is about 60% of that impact. Cities and individuals can work together. We can help others making better decisions, dietary choices, the place where we live, not owning a car, reducing air travel, and reducing consumption, especially paper and plastics. The Sustainable Development Goals help us to identify areas where we can use leadership to create change. each one represents something great that we want to achieve. One of the struggles is how we can continue economic growth if we are already exceeding planetary boundaries. If we lift people out of poverty at a rate that cannot be sustainable because we are taking more resources on the Earth system that is able to regenerate. We have to rethink what economic growth means. If we follow the shrink, share, and regenerate model, we have 17 goals. These are the goals that are associated with shrink. These are the goals we will need to work in order to reduce the impact in our global ecosystems. These are the goals that enable us to share equitably the resources and allow everyone to have a dignified life. And these are the goals that enable us to regenerate nature services. That is a very quick summary of what is in the workshop, in that first module of the workshop. To finish this module, we ask and invite participants to think about in which way they can start change. And we help them to shape those ideas with a practical exercise. So thank you very much. My information, my email address is there in case you have any questions about this wonderful initiative. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Pilar. It's really nice having the SDGs linked to the shrink, share, regenerate model. It makes it very, very clear. Okay, so now not everyone on our panel could join us in real time. Pilar and I are in a sensible time in Vancouver evening. Leah, who we heard from earlier, our youth activist, is in Uganda. She stayed up very, very late to give us a few very critical, inspiring words for youth and for the rest of us to pay attention to youth around the world. A couple of our other speakers, it's also the middle of the night for them, but they were kind enough to send a video presentation. So I'm going to have those now. The first one is Miroslav Polzar, who is going to be talking about the Digital Art for Climate initiative. And let's just bring him up. Go.
Hello, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be. Greetings to this panel on climate changemakers youth leadership training within the Innovate for Cities 2021 conference. My name is Miroslav Polzer. I'm with the International Association for the Advancement of Innovative Approaches to Global Challenges, and I'm here today to speak, to present to you the Youth Climate Action Empowerment Initiative, Digital Art for Climate. So this initiative is an initiative that we are implementing in collaboration with the UN Habitat Youth Program, and we are proud partner of Doug Reagan and his team since years, and we are looking on how can we empower youth to take meaningful and rewarding climate action. And this Digital Art for Climate initiative is a multi-stakeholder partnership initiative which uses blockchain technology, non-fungible tokens, so-called NFTs, to turn artwork into digital assets which can be collected and traded, thus enabling new forms of resource mobilization in support of sustainable development goals and UN Agenda 2030 implementation in general, and action for climate empowerment in particular. Here on this slide, you see the screenshot from our pre-launch event, which we have had on the 4th of June in Milan in the context of the World Environment Day, and also as on the event calendar of the Italian COP26 co-presidency, and with Doug Reagan as a key player, and also with media partner Cointelegraph. And you can watch the video with further details on the UN Web TV portal. So the aims of Digital Art for Climate are, on the one hand, to inspire more ambitious climate action with the power of culture, with the power of visual art, giving creators of all ages and backgrounds a voice about how they view the environmental issues in the world. And second, and that's the key point here, is creating new resource mobilization mechanisms in support of global and local youth climate action empowerment with the power of blockchain technology and NFTs. This Digital Art for Climate initiative is a spin-off initiative of the Action for Climate Empowerment Innovation Program, ACE-AT, and this is a very important global climate action governance innovation initiative that has been initiated and funded and coordinated by the Austrian Federal Ministry for Climate Action. The lead partner is the UN Climate Change Secretariat, and my organization IAI is together with Ecosyste, the Education, Communication and Outreach Stakeholders Community within the UNFCCC process, and ICLE, an associated partner. And the aim here is to really rethink and reorganize the way how global community empowers action for the climate, and especially those of young people. And we have there the task to develop a feasibility study and a business plan for a global action for climate empowerment, non-party stakeholder support structure, an office, and potentially in the framework of a quasi-international organization based in Austria or potentially also Switzerland. Develop resource mobilization innovation for action for climate empowerment, like this digital innovation, Digital Art for Climate initiative, and developing also the digital global platform and tools that this kind of climate action empowerment can function. So for those who would like to learn more about digital art, non-fungible tokens, digital assets, I would recommend to start with a Wikipedia article and short description. A non-fungible token is a unit of data stored on a digital ledger called a blockchain that certifies a digital asset to be unique and therefore not interchangeable. And NFTs can be used to represent items such as photos, videos, audio, and other types of digital files. And this is really now has been developed into big hype almost, with digital artwork have been sold for 69 million US dollars, and videos like Charlie Hit My Finger for 700,000 euros, and some other hype thing. But in general, the most important point is that ordinary people are ready to pay money for digital collectibles, assets that they can own. And if we use this momentum, this somehow instinct of people, and use it for climate action empowerment, there can be huge resource mobilization innovations taking place. And the big picture here is that we create a digital art for climate marketplace, which will then be also the basis for developing an action for climate empowerment marketplace where youth climate action will be validated, measured, reported, verified, certified, and registered. And then there can be different value components be handled in a trustworthy and in a global manner that connects local action with global resources. And here, this is a systemic innovation which we believe has the potential to really be a game changer in youth climate action empowerment. And in the next steps, you will see which concrete steps we have taken in this direction. So Digital Art for Climate partners are IAI, it's my organization, UN accredited civil society organization based in Klagenfurt in Austria. We have also our sister organization in the US, the Global Challenges Foundation in New York. the technology partner is Unique Network, NFT platform. And here it's very important to highlight and to emphasize that we are working on a proof of stake blockchain. So we are aware of the environmental footprint of first and second generation blockchains. It's unacceptable, but this next generation blockchains, like the one we are using based on the Polkadot and Kusama blockchain ecosystems, they use 1/1,000,000th of the environmental footprint and energy of these blockchains for Bitcoin or Ethereum. And so that's very important. We have Domenico Vito, hubs in Italy, in Milan, as our coordinator there. And we have, of course, UN Habitat Youth Program as a key partner, who is also, on the one hand, connecting us with young talent around the world, but also who is the beneficiary of our resource mobilization efforts with the World Environment Situation Room Youth Engagement Program. And I'm delighted to be also on the panel with Lanzarote, who is also involved in this, and UN Environment Program, Alex Caldas. So just to give you an impression what has been done already, we have launched the art competition on the 12th of August. So we are building Digital Art for Climate COP26 collection, which combines entries from the art competition combined with artwork from high-profile artists that we are reaching out separately in order to have also to increase the value of the whole collection once we are going to auction it. And here the timeline, pre-launch, we've had a hackathon to build the front-end solution, because Unique Network, NFT platform, they're doing the back-end blockchain solution. But in order to have the user experience and user interface properly done, we need our own solutions. And for this, we've had a hackathon art competition, which can be watched also on the UN Web TV platform, and the deadline is the 28th of October, so you are still welcome to submit your artwork. Then we've had our pre-COP Youth event of the Italian co-presidency of the UN Climate Change Conference. And at the COP26, we are going to have several presentations of the initiative and the Digital Art for Climate COP26 collection, but especially on the 11th of November, we will have a press conference, which will be totally devoted to this. And we are expecting also Refik Anadol, one of the most renowned digital artists, to be on our delegation that day, and also to participate in the press conference, and perhaps even designing as an artwork which we will use for a free event NFT for COP26 ACE NFT, and potentially also as a fundraising NFT for those who would like to invest in this, our efforts. And on the 5th of June, World Environment Day, there will be the auctioning of the artwork and also the launch of the Digital Art for Climate marketplace. And here, the broader vision, we really look at this Digital Art for Climate also as a means to engage everyone everywhere in climate action in a gamified way. And our vision is that climate action on the individual level should then be handled in an individual climate action dashboard app, and which should be on everyone's mobile devices or on everyone's TV screen also at home, and that climate neutrality efforts will be framed as a digital badges collection game. And we have, with Digital Art for Climate, created our first NFT, which we're giving to people. It has been presented in Milan on the 28th of September. And you can go to our homepage, digitalartforclimate.space, where you can claim this NFT. It's a free NFT. It's a limited edition. 500 NFTs have been minted, and it's free. And here you can start your collection the next NFT will be minted for the COP26. And in this way, we are gamifying things, and the more people will use this, also the higher will be the demand for artwork on the auctions and this related things. And we expect really to have enormous, significant resource mobilization success, which we will then handle in a separate entity, blockchain-based entity, the GLOCHA United Citizens Organization for Action for Climate Empowerment, in which all our partners, also UN Habitat and the youth networks, will have governance tokens to collectively manage the mobilized resources in a framework of a global public good. So these resources that we are mobilizing, we mobilize as representatives of global society, global family, and also it will be managed with the responsibility towards future generations. And the GLOCHA journey has begun. Join us and claim a free digital art for climate, Milan 2021 Global Angel NFT. That's a photo from when we've presented our first NFT. And really, that's our vision, that it will be fun, it will be inspiring to take climate action, and at a certain point then also rewarding, because we will be able to sell these digital collectibles for those who are ready to invest in it. And here are my details. And once again, thank you to UN Habitat and also to Christina for organizing this panel. Wishing everyone great success and all the best. Bye.
That was amazing. Thank you, Miro. He's probably sleeping soundly right now, but that was amazing to hear about digital art for climate and how it can access, in a very new way, access some resources for climate youth activists around the world and different youth action initiatives, which is one of the things we heard in our global survey of youth activists is funds and other resources was something that they need. It didn't rise to the top from our workshop participants. I think they were more concerned with the real-time connection and networking, but it's definitely a critical need for youth climate activists around the world. Okay, now let's have our last speaker from our panel, which is the president of the Island Council of Lanzarote in the Spanish Canary Islands. Unfortunately, we only have her in Spanish and we don't have language translation, not in real time anyway. But we do know she is talking about the fight by young people against the climate emergency. And we can summarize after. Let me just bring it up.
Estimadas autoridades y representantes de Naciones Unidas e instituciones financieras. Buenas tardes desde Lanzarote, de las Islas Canarias de España. Desde la isla de Lanzarote es un honor estar presente hoy como parte de esta conversación internacional y queremos agradecer a la organización de este foro, a nuestros amigos de Naciones Unidas y a su programa ONU Habitat en un momento tan clave para el mundo y en especial para los territorios locales como el que yo represento. Lanzarote es un territorio especial debido a su enclave tricontinental. A pesar de ser un territorio local con ecosistemas urbanos complejos, la particularidad de ser un conjunto de comunidades dentro de una isla traen consigo unos retos específicos, en especial cuando se trata de lo climático. Nuestra geografía, nuestra arquitectura social y política y nuestra historia nos convierten en una isla puente entre Europa África y América Latina. En los últimos 30 años, la isla de Lanzarote ha trabajado para posicionarse como isla única, destino turístico diferente y mágica al resto del mundo, con un legado rompedor y que ha trascendido al tiempo de César Manrique. Lanzarote ha conseguido mantener una imagen sólida en cuanto a su turismo habitual. En un mundo cambiante, volátil y post-pandemia mundial, los territorios locales deben reinventarse completamente y reflexionar sobre qué tipo de destino turístico quieren ser. ¿Cómo van a diferenciarse en un mundo de sostenibilidad, de transición de modelo energético, cambio radical en los patrones de consumo de los usuarios y de búsqueda de equilibrio con los ecosistemas naturales? Y todo esto haciendo una inversión en los y las jóvenes, quienes ya están tomando el testigo de liderazgo y exigiendo un mundo más sostenible. Parte del proyecto de mi equipo de gobierno es volver a incentivar a todos nuestros talentos jóvenes a volver a la isla, a innovar y a crear aquí en materia climática y atraer a los talentos de todo el mundo a que vean en Lanzarote un laboratorio donde crear soluciones globales. Sí, es cierto, Lanzarote tiene un legado de sostenibilidad, urbanismo natural, resiliencia y ecología urbana, gracias a César Manrique, su sociedad civil y la visión de su cabildo. Pero ya no es suficiente. Nos toca volver a inspirar a una nueva generación para que, usando las enseñanzas de César Manrique, eleven su trabajo a nuestra isla y a nuestra gente al siguiente nivel. ¿Cómo seguimos elevando el estándar de la misma forma que lo hubiese hecho César Manrique? ¿Cuál es el siguiente paso? Lanzarote debe dejar de verse solamente como destino turístico sostenible, sino empezar a posicionarse como laboratorio de innovación para nuevas tecnologías, nuevas metodologías y políticas públicas en la que se refiere a los territorios insulares y cambio climático. Lanzarote tiene las condiciones perfectas para hacerlo. Lo que nos falta, inversores, el apoyo político nacional e internacional y los socios estratégicos con capacidades científicas para activar dicho cambio, socios como Naciones Unidas. Para conseguir cosas distintas hay que trabajar de forma distinta. Y en mi equipo de gobierno hemos aprendido a no volver a repetir los errores que se cometieron en el pasado. Necesitamos cambiar el modelo energético, turístico, económico y social de la isla. Y debemos hacerlo de la mano de la generación de jóvenes que impulsen dichos cambios. Para elevar y que el legado de César Manrique perdure, se escale por todo el mundo y Lanzarote llegue a ese siguiente nivel, mi gobierno debe y quiere construir puentes y nuevas alianzas estratégicas con socios capaces de ayudarle en ese camino. Naciones Unidas y su programa de medio ambiente, ONU Habitat, son el socio estratégico perfecto para que Lanzarote pueda comenzar a reimaginar, rediseñar y reimplantar una hoja de ruta seria, creíble y consensuada con expertos de primer nivel para convertirse en la primera isla de emisiones cero, neta cero de carbono en Canarias, España y Europa, y un laboratorio de innovación para instituciones, empresas e inversores para testar nuevos modelos climáticos y luego escalarlo y replicarlo a otras partes del mundo. Queremos hacer todo esto creando una plataforma para reimaginar conjuntamente los próximos 100 años de la isla para nuestros jóvenes y con ellos. Estamos abriendo las instituciones para que los jóvenes propongan sus ideas y nos ayuden a coliderar esa transición tan bonita, pero a la vez tan compleja. Es por ello que nuestra propuesta comienza por abrir Lanzarote al mundo, no solo de forma turística, sino como aspirante a enclave mundial en materia climática. Isla de emprendimiento de los jóvenes de desarrollo sostenible. Queremos que nuestros jóvenes y los de otras partes del mundo aporten soluciones locales e insulares y el reto global del cambio climático y aporten su granito de arena a la implantación de la Agenda 2030 y los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible de Naciones Unidas. El siglo XXI fue el siglo de los imperios, el siglo XX el de los Estados-nación y el siglo XXI pertenece a las ciudades, zonas urbanas y los territorios locales como las islas. Por primera vez en la historia de la humanidad, más del 50% de la población mundial se ha mudado a zonas urbanas y se prevé que en el 2050 sea el 70%. Los territorios locales somos las únicas con la capacidad de actuar localmente para implementar las agendas internacionales y hacer frente a retos globales como la inmigración, el cambio climático, la digitalización, las pandemias y un largo etcétera. Debemos ser pieza fundamental y debemos tener voz en el diseño de políticas que afronten los movimientos migratorios. En nuestras islas y en nuestra isla estamos completamente comprometidos, alineados y de la mano de la obra con la implementación de la Agenda 2030 y aportar nuestro grano de arena en los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible, incluyendo la nueva Agenda Urbana de la ONU Habitat, aprobada en Quito en el año 2016. Hoy trabajamos para convertirnos en base de innovación global, de energías renovables y de nuevas tecnologías para que talentos de Europa, de África y de América Latina vengan a nuestra ciudad a formarse, a crear y lanzar ideas y luego volver a implementarlas en sus ciudades de origen. Queremos ser un laboratorio de innovación urbana e insular, en lo medioambiental, en lo tecnológico, pero también en lo social. Y queremos ser una isla de empoderamiento de la juventud. Queremos invitar a todos los presentes, como a ONU Habitat, a que tomen Lanzarote como laboratorio para respetar modelos de convivencia e integración urbana e insular y poder seguir acelerando la acción climática y social acorde a la Agenda 2030. Estudios tanto del Sistema de Naciones Unidas como del Foro Económico Mundial, como de redes globales de ciudades como la C40 Bloomberg y la Red Global de Ciudades Resilientes de la Fundación Rockefeller, apuntan a que más de la mitad de la infraestructura necesaria en territorios locales para el año 2050 aún no se han construido y que es necesario incluir a las poblaciones más vulnerables, como a los jóvenes, a las mujeres y a nuestros mayores, en un diseño participativo. También nos dice que no importa cuán robusta sea nuestra infraestructura local a la hora de experimentar una crisis, un desastre natural o algún evento que sacuda nuestra capacidad de proporcionar servicios básicos, lo que nos permitirá levantarnos y seguir en nuestro día a día. Y esos serán los vínculos sociales entre nuestras comunidades que se hayan tejido. Vecinos que cuidan de vecinos en malas épocas. Esa es la mayor resiliencia a la que podemos aspirar en ecosistemas urbanos en momentos de crisis. Por eso nuestros jóvenes juegan un papel tan clave en la evolución y en esta ecuación. Los territorios locales de este nuevo siglo deben volver a poner al ciudadano y al joven en el centro de la conversación. Estamos viendo por todo el planeta cómo los territorios locales y quienes están rediseñando, repensando, reimaginando los modelos sociales de convivencia, de producción, de economías, de las comunidades de futuro. Si las ciudades trabajáramos juntas, podemos acelerar la transición que nuestras comunidades necesitan. Me pongo a disposición de todos ustedes, desde mi equipo de gobierno, para que tengan en la Unión Europea una isla aliada un socio estratégico que ayuda a impulsar una agenda común. Ponemos a vuestra disposición a nuestra isla para reuniones de este tipo en el futuro y para atraer inversión en materia climática conjuntamente con ustedes. Las puertas de mi isla están abiertas y espero que sea la primera de muchas conversaciones a nivel internacional para mejorar la vida de la gente en todo el mundo. Ninguno por sí solo puede cambiar el rumbo necesario, pero juntos podemos ser disruptivos y cambiar la conversación. Cuento con ustedes. Juntos podemos hacerlo. Muchas gracias.
Okay. Well, she was talking about moving Lanzarote to the future. Pilar, do you have any other points that you would like to add?
Well, it was a powerful message. She wants everyone to consider Lanzarote as a strategic ally in terms of making change. She mentions that, change will not happen unless we pull forces together, and invites strongly stakeholders to be part of making Lanzarote lab, a living lab, where lessons can be learned, and also after they are learned, taken somewhere else around the world.
That's wonderful. It's really nice to see all the speakers and how they're embracing change at all different levels, government and different civil society and UN agencies and educational institutions like ours and youth activists. So that's what it's going to take, is everybody working together. I just want to thank everybody for watching. And again, my name is Christina Olson. I'm with the British Columbia Institute of Technology in Vancouver and the Center for Ecocities there. And it has been a delightful session. I'm feeling quite inspired from all the things that were shared here today. And if anyone would like to get in touch with us, our website is commons.bcit.ca/ecocitiescenter, and you can get in touch with me, and I can put you in touch with any of the speakers if needed. And I think that will close out our session tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christina, and thank you, everyone.